This is Daf Yerushalmi Kilayim. The article hosts by other edition on Daf Mem Aleph Hamrav at the Mishnah Halacha Daled, which in the Vilna is also Halacha Daled on Daf Chav Beis Amar Aleph. Halacha Daled. The Mishnah says, "Hanoteir Shtein Kneged Shtein Achas Yotzi Zonav Harei Zakerem." You have two, one row, and three in the other row, two opposite two, and one tail. That's considered to be a kerem. Going to be silver, of course. Going to be Yerushalmi 5 rows to carry, but it's going to stand. Let's not Mishnah like Beisil. If you have two opposite two and one in the middle, so the simple understanding of that would be one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here in between the two. Not sure if there's a picture of Chaim. Let's see. There's a picture here. No. No. Maybe in behind the Sefer itself. Yeah. Okay. So he says here. He says, according to the this is the first case submission, right? That's the class. This would be the way to learn the simple understanding of being a sign, like that, four and then one in between. But the Reb Chaim points out that according to Rambam, this is considered to be a valid kerem. No, that's not the conventional understanding, but that's the Rambam. So according to the Rambam, you have to say that the case of being a sign would be like this: two over here, two over there, and one in the middle, like that. Okay, so or like this, like the 5 on the side of dice, right? Ain't no kerem. It's not kerem. Until you have either this, or according to the Rambam, even this. Okay. Rav Chia Bar b'Shem Rav Chia said, Eretz Canaan l'gvuloseh. He says that when they enter Eretz Yisrael, they're going to get Eretz Canaan l'gvuloseh according to its boundaries. According to the boundaries which the Canaanim made up. So the Moshe explains that Mutahu, the word Gvul says superfluous. On the Farish Sarachia Gvulim. Later on, gives us a Gvul very so. It says at the end again, these are going to be the boundaries for the Eretz Yisrael all around. El Bali Smoke Kan Gvul Sel Knan. The word Gvul Sel comes juxtaposed to Knan. The Midrash the Darshan the what's that place? Not the boundaries in terms of geographical boundaries, but the parameters of planting of Knanim. We're going to be carrying the mastisin, such as the Karamar This is where their custom was to plant their vineyards. And you go after the parameters that they determine. The Zenikor Karam. This is how we define what's called a vineyard. So says Rabbi Yami, Rabbi Yasmin asked, made him in a Knanim, right? We're not from the Canaanim. What do you mean? Just because they did it that way? So that's determined to be the halacha. So the Gemara doesn't answer this question. Reb Chaim says that there must be halacha. The Gemara doesn't say it. It must be halacha Moshe Misinai. Shmuel Amar b'moded. It says memora, but inside you have the girsa of the Marafulda b'moded. Luchsan. It's when you measure on an angle. So the Moshe explains. Come on, the Shmuel Fresh time no season. Why do you not need 6? Why is sufficient? It's like finding by sometimes there's a slope by the Kfanim. So then you can't plant all of them equal. v'notea achas makam midron. You plant one where the slope is via yotzi zonav, and that's the one which is called the yotzi zonav because nikra kerem, and that's why it's called a kerem. Yeah. Yeah. So the other unfortunately have a totally different shot in what Shmuel is trying to come to say. He says, Reb Chaim says that it's like this tziyur, which we'll see in Tzadik Zion here. That you don't have to put, according to Shmuel, you don't have to conceive of like we said in the past, you don't have to conceive of an imaginary, you don't have to conceive of an imaginary grape. I lost my feed here. You don't have to conceive of an imaginary grapevine over here in the place of the sixth, but you can measure the archaka of that Amos and the Kerem from the angle. So it's not a slope. There's no slope there. It's an angle. And it means that you can measure, you don't have to assume that there's a six imaginary geffen. The archaka from this Kerem can be down almost from that angle between the second in the first row and the third in the second row. Says more further. Rabbi Yossi, Berzina B'Shem Yossi, Aroki Lachas Etuakan. He's the one that says no. You have to look at if there's an imaginary sixth vine there, and therefore, that's the imaginary one, and therefore you have to measure 4 not from the angle, but rather from the imaginary sixth one which you have over here. I believe that's what you're asking. Rabbi Yerabai, not Rabbi Yerabai asked, not the Stein Connected Stein, but Achas Yotzi Zonav. You planted 2 corresponding to 2 and 1, the one which is Yotzi Zonav. Stein Connected Stein, Achad Yotzi Zonav. And then you did it also, another one, Stein Connected Stein, Achas Yotzi Zonav. What does that mean? So according to Reb Chaim, pictures like this. Look back at the text for this picture. There's a scenario which you've had before. Right? You see that you have six kafanim. And there's Yotzi Zoram on each side. Yotzi Zoram on this side, Yotzi Zoram on that side. Okay, so you have that scenario. At Roku, Achersi to a Kan, Achersi to a Kan. Do you see as if there's an imaginary geffen on each of those sides? Right? Do we or don't we? So that's if boy here is a statement as occasionally is the case in the Yerushalmi, so he's making a statement. It's in fact you see 2 imaginary kafanim, one on each side of the row of 2. But if it's a statement, a question, then it doesn't really resolve whether you see an imaginary geffen on each of those sides or just on one of those sides. Nota shalosh keged shalosh, v'achas mechuberes k'neged emtzoi. He's planted 3 opposite 3 and 1 in the middle. That's this case over here. Right? You have 3 opposite 3 and 1 in the middle. So again, you could say you could put imaginary geffen here, or imaginary geffen there, or both. Because you have Shnai Yotzi topwards and bottomwards. So at Rokilu Achas to a Kan Asos Karen Gadol, and do you see one over here to make it Karen Gadol? So the question is, the question is just the imaginary one. So then, what do you mean? How does Kem Gadol get into this? So Reb Chaim explains that the question is in terms of the din of mochel, that there's no mochel kerem cotton. There's no din of mochel kerem cotton. So the question is, what about this kerem, which has seven gefanim, right? So we said the kerem gadol is only 9 back gefanim, and then you have a din of mochel kerem. So the kerem cotton does not have din mochel. Well, what about here, where you could place an imaginary one on each side? So maybe this has imaginary 9 gefanim, and therefore it is a kerem gadol, and it will make a mochel kerem. Or do I say no? Imaginary gefanim don't make a kerem gadol, and there is no din mochel kerem in this case. Just to review the halacha mochel kerem, halacha mochel kerem we had at the beginning of the parak, which is the halacha that where you had one side as a kerem, the other side as a gader. According to Yerushalmi, needs 16 amos between the kerem and the gader, and Beisil says 12 amos. Okay, so in any event, so that's the question. So Gemara says, locate at Amar Ein Zav Kerem Gadol, B'Shol Shu Gadol. Okay, you say there's no. We said way back when that when you have a Kerem Gadol and one comes out. Let's see if we can find that picture quickly. We don't say we don't put imaginary. We don't do imaginary. We don't add an imaginary. Let's see here. We did have it though. Yeah, but Karen Gadol of 9, and you have a 10th one sticking out of one side. So don't say that you extend on that side as if there are additional 2. I'm not finding the picture. I know we did discuss it. So back. Anyway, you get the idea. What picture here? Yeah, in this case. Very good. Here's a lady showing me a picture. That'll do. So, in this case over here, we have a Kerem Gadol and one over here. We don't say to say there are 2 imaginary Gefanim over here to extend out the Kerem in that direction. Okay, that's true. But the question is, what about this situation, which is what we're talking about here? Do we say imaginary Gefanim over here in order to make a Kerem Katan and Kerem Gadol? Because once the Kerem Gadol, we don't say Zorav put some imaginary Gefanim there. When to make a Kerem Gadol, we say it's as if there are 2 imaginary Gefanim, one on each side there. Okay. Looking at Amar Ein Zon of Kerem Gadol, B'Shoshu Gadol. Mali Ein Zon of Kerem Katan, Let's also Gadol. That's the question, and the Gemara does not resolve that issue. Halacha. Hanotea Shura Achas B'Sok Shelo B'Shura Achas B'Sok Shchavero. You plant one row in your field and in your land, and another row in your friend's land. In other words, it's not yours, but there's a row in your land and a row in his land. But there's a road with a derech yochid derech rabbi in the middle, and says Pnei Moshe they're going to the derech rabbi must say Ein Roch of Shmona Amos. The Yesh Amos ben Ashuros. We only have 8 Amos in Ashuros. Ein Lo Ave Kerem. It's not a vineyard. We tell her these era beneim. So period. Then you can plant something in the middle. So here it's less than 8 amos. Whether it's a derech or derech rabbi, it's less than 8 amos. Or God there should not start tvachim. So even though one row is yours, one row is your friend's, as long as there's a sufficient barrier between the 2 of them, they can start to make a kerem. Kavam is start tvachim, and if there's a fence of more than 10 tvachim between the 2, then they don't join together to make a kerem. The mer im arson lamahala, if they're trellised over the top, Ray Elam Mitzarfos, and this is it seems that they. It sounds like from the Mishnah that they are, in fact, literally interlaced together on top. And nevertheless, because it's going over a fence, so therefore it's not considered to be mitzdarif. Um, okay. Rabbi Acha, uh, Rabbi Acha boy, Rabbi Acha asked, "Leso pligo Rabbi Shimon." This is an argument with Shimon. The Rabbi Shimon Eno the Makdi Shtava Shena Shlo. You can't make your friends grain kilayim on account of your kerem. Right? There's a whole issue of what the beginning of Abasa, right? The kerem shenifritza, but Pasha says you can't record Rabbi Shimon. You can't at least Rabbi Shimon. You can't ask your friends I mean, that's not Rabbi Shimon, it's Rabbi Meir. But here, but according to Rabbi Shimon, you can't ask her ever your friend's grain. So how come here it works that you're going to be inspired the two shuros, one yours, one your friends? So the more answers, Tam and Eno the Makdish Shlavish Shalo. Here, there, a person can't be Makdish something which is not his. That's true. Here, the two, here, his and his friends together, they ask what's in the middle. So each one is participating, doing his part to ask what's in the middle. That's one opinion. Right? One am I located low market. Low Cain Amar Rabbi Shmuel Shem zero. Didn't say this, but rather did not Rabbi Shmuel say name was zero. Shimon Kedaite. Shimon would follow his line of reasoning. Rabbi Shimon Eno the Makdi Shtava Sheno Shelo. So Rabbi Shimon says it can't be Makdi Shtava which is not yours. Cain who Omer Eno the Mchavish Shtava Sheno Shelo. You can't make a Bichovish. In other words, whatever's in the middle between Ruvain's and Shimon's can't become usher on account of it's my row being mitzaref with my neighbor's row. So says Gemara, no. Um, he says it's not necessarily the same thing, right? And it's not clear whether Rabbi Mona is saying this, and he's saying Shaka V'Tari Lochem Rabbi Shmuel B'Shem Rabbi Zira, and they say no, Talmud it's different, right? Or the Gemara itself is that Rabbi Mona presented this as being a separate sheet, and then the Gemara rejects it. But then the Gemara does reject it, right? So Talmud ain't a makdish shtava shelo. A person can be makdish which is not his. That's true. But here you're not being makdish something which is not yours, like we said before, but rather together you are joining forces in order to make it also to plant in the middle. Okay, that brings us to the middle of Daf, almost to the bottom. That meant by someone else. Of course, we'll stop here for today.